And so the aesthetic of this film was to showcase the beauty and richness of cultures in the African continent as well as the diaspora. So in her acceptance speech, the film's costume designer actually thanked our very own Trevor Stuurman for literally, quote, killing it. So on the back of that, creative director, stylist, visual artist, and iconic photographer Trevor Stuurman joining us now on our couch on the AM Report. How's that for an introduction?
Wow.
Please, we need to tell the people that we're not being paid to do this. But all of that, it's because it's true. You've done so well in your career so far. But let's speak specifically about this project. What many people don't know is that it was in production for over a year, and many of you were handpicked by Beyonce and her team to be part of this kind of collaboration. Help us understand the extent of contribution or the extent of the contribution you made to this film.
It involved many hours, a lot of research, and a lot of consideration, because I guess this was not like any other project in a sense where you did not just pick things because they were beautiful, but they had to have meaning, and they had to be considered, and it took a lot, because I guess with Beyonce, she's quite particular in the way that she does her work, and she's quite involved as well, and she's a perfectionist, and I guess that pushes you to kind of also push yourself beyond, I guess, your own understanding of what your limit is.
Congratulations, by the way, for being even mentioned there on the Emmy stage. I mean, it goes without saying that that's a big deal. But you speak about Beyonce's level of involvement. Does that mean you also got an opportunity to be interacting with her at any stage?
So I was working closely with her creative director.
Right.
And I guess that was the interaction. But I guess previously I had the opportunity to shoot her, and that's where I got to kind of interact with her a bit more. So on this project, it was more with her creative director.
So in other words, you weren't fazed that this is yet another Beyonce project to be
No. I think with every project, it's always quite I guess, it takes you back for a bit.
Nice. The stuff that you had to do essentially for that entire film, and I don't know if our audience has watched it, but there's scenes across various places, and you were in charge essentially of the Africa leg, for lack of a better term there. Where do you even start when you try to consider what ought to be included and not included, given South Africa's rich and diverse culture?
I think it's quite a tough one, but the whole film was, I guess, the initial film is based on The Lion King, and that is based in Kenya. And I guess the interpretation we took for the South African leg was that we went with the Zulu culture as well as the Ndebele culture, because just because of the visual references that we thought that the cultures were quite rich, and they had a lot of, I guess, there was a lot of references,
right, and
it was easy to just pull off the references and to build a foundation of that, and it was, it was a very tough decision.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's a decision I'm glad I didn't have to make myself. Initially, you mentioned how everything had to have meaning. Do you mean that literally? Like, are you telling me that from a necklace to beads on someone's left foot to the lighting, you had to consider all of those things and assign some kind of meaning to it?
Absolutely. I mean, for the characters, they were kind of color-coded, and you kind of used the psychology of colors to kind of attach certain characteristics, and you kind of encode and decode certain meanings so that it's easier for, I guess for an untrained eye, they find that more special. You know, it's ensuring that even the types of fabrics, for example, with Scar is the villain in the film, and he had a lot of leather. Red was quite a prominent palette in his costume, and he had sharp-toed shoes with like an iron steel toe, and a lot of rings, a lot of bling. And I mean, those are just simple, I guess, examples of how the characters were kind of layered and dressed.
Right. And when you're putting these things together, are you at that time hoping the most that people get the references, or are you okay with whatever ways in which it's received?
I guess it's part of a bigger picture.
Yeah.
So it's going to fall into a world where there's mutual understanding. So work closely with the production designers so that the sets and the costumes were complementary or either they were in contrast, and through that the audience is able to kind of create whatever meaning they like. But I guess it was quite a very artistic approach to things. The actual film is quite artistic as well, and the meaning is it's easy for everyone to follow because it's essentially Lion King. So we all know about Simba and Mufasa and Scar and his rise to being a king. Right. So I think that it was quite easy for the audience to pick it up.
Tell you what, even for the people who weren't getting the references, just how visually stimulating that entire film was is enough to keep anybody watching from the start till the very end. I'm interested to find out, though, I mean, you've mentioned how it was a stylistic process. How much of what you envisioned at the start actually materializes in something you can feel, touch, see at the end?
I think absolutely everything, because it was, there was quite a lot of creative freedom within it, in a sense that they trusted that we would be able to execute the vision. And through like the mood board, there was some feedback that we kind of had to adapt and just, I guess, tweak a little. But in terms of the grand vision, that we saw through. Right.
And this vision itself, I mean, when you received the brief from Beyonce and the team, I imagine that vision doesn't change. If anything, you need to align to it.
Yeah, but it was quite open as well. But the vision was that, you know...
What was it? Tell us, roughly speaking, so you get, I don't know what the communication is about. I don't know if Beyonce texts you, tweets you, or the team, whatever. They essentially say, we want you on board on the project. What is the brief or the instruction that you get?
Okay, so the brief was to portray Africa in the most elevated and the most, I guess, the grandest vision, and to kind of restore African pride and to allow, I guess, people to see a new lens into a lived African experience, but in a very theatrical way. And yeah, that was basically the brief. Yeah.
And to say you ran with it is an understatement. Very quickly, next for you?
Next for me, I guess now it is a matter of just building my own type of properties, in a sense of building platforms and building bridges for other people to cross as well. And that's where I'm at.
Awesome stuff, man. You're doing a great job. We're so proud to be associated with you in whatever way we can. So well done. South Africa is certainly proud of the work you do, and keep flying the flag high.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Creative director, stylist, visual artist, and extraordinary photographer, Trevor Stuurman, joining us there for the nod he got in some respects for Black is King, and that, of course, is a film by Beyonce. He was involved very intimately in the aesthetic, and what a great aesthetic it was in that film.